Hello parents, we wanted to do a video to just get this information out to you. I know information is everywhere right now, but some of it you might not know where to find answers to exact questions you may have. So hopefully this will help you. If you have any additional questions, type in the comments or anything and we will get some answers for you. If I don't know, I will find out for you, but hopefully we can help. And always feel free to call the school. We have returned to work now, so we can answer your questions like that as well. But I'm just going to put out some information for you, and I'll go ahead and get started. I want to start by saying we are going to be changing our school day, the time for that. It'll start at the normal time. It will still be at 7 o'clock, but we will dismiss 20 minutes earlier, which means for us that we will dismiss at 1:40 instead of 2 o'clock. That will give the bus drivers more time to get the kids on situated and separated in the right manner, then on to their next school. So keep that in mind. School for Chamberlain will be, sorry about that. School time for us will be 7 o'clock until 1:40. The next thing I want to show you, and there are links all over the internet right now, but our re-entry plan. If you haven't visited that yet, go see that because it has some very valuable information. Read through that, and it addresses several different topics. But if you just go to the Kanawha County website, then this alert box will pop up and it tells you, hey, that's out there for you to see. If you're on a laptop, up top, you'll see re-entry plan over on the right. You can read it there, or if you're on your phone or like me, an iPad, just go to the menu and you'll see re-entry plan down at the bottom. And then you can scroll through all these different categories and you can read about the plans, and this is how we're planning for our school year. So that'll give you a whole lot of information. In addition to that, just remember that the form for you to fill out, it's also on that site that I just showed you, and that will let us know if you fill it out before August 11th. So fill that out by August 10th, letting us know what you plan to do. Do you plan to send your child to school? Do you plan to choose e-learning, or do you plan to use virtual schools? Now, it'll show you the difference. It'll explain all of those options and give you detail, great detail. But just consider this in mind. With e-learning, it is very different this year than it was last year because we've had time to plan and time to fix some things that we didn't even know were going to be an issue in March. So there will be scheduled meeting times with e-learning. We'll work our best to get one of our teachers in the building to teach that class, and we want your child to hopefully meet that teacher in person. Maybe that first week of school they can come and visit. That's open, but they don't have to. But it will be scheduled. They'll be doing 60 minutes reading and 60 minutes math. That time they have to show up and be attending for that. They'll take attendance. They'll have other things that they'll have to do in addition to that, like that's their core instruction, and they'll meet the teacher for that lesson, that guidance. Then they'll have assignments they do after they log off. They'll have to complete those. They'll be able to get some counseling sessions and some, just like in March when we did, like we sent PE activities, art and music, they'll get that as well. So just remember that for e-learning. For virtual, that's for our parents who don't want to do face-to-face, but they don't have a flexible schedule and they can't be online at that certain time. Then virtual is probably better for that type of person in that situation because you can log in at any time and do that. So that's the big difference between those two classes, is how much flexibility you have. And of course, in person, they'll come on to school, and the plan now after the first 3 weeks of school is for 5 days of in-person class time. The focus while they're here will be reading and math because we have to fill in some gaps that we have since last year happened from March on. So we'll fill in those gaps and then start on with what expectations are for this current grade level. Those standards will be met after we fill in the gaps. So we'll start with that. We'll be in person if that's what you choose. But again, that's due by August 11th. So fill that out as quickly as you can, and that'll help us make plans for who's going to be where. Okay, if you go onto that re-entry plan, it also tells you like the schedule. And the first week, students are going to attend by grade level. The second and third weeks, they've separated that by alphabet. A to L will come Monday and Tuesday. Wednesday will be online for everyone. And then Thursday and Friday will be letters M to Z of your last name. If you have students who have different last names, just call the school and we can easily switch that so that all of them will come on the same day. That won't be an issue. Just to kind of tell you about the day, if you choose in person and your child is coming into Chamberlain, just to kind of walk through what a day might look like, because it's going to be different. If they have gym for that day, our hope is that it will be pretty and they can go outside. Then that'll be simple, a simple fix. The gym will be outside. If not, then the guidelines are, if it's something that you need, like a game, if you need materials or supplies like for a game, they'll clean that before passing that on. It's going to be the same way in the classroom. If you use it, you clean it before someone else uses it. So we'll keep that in mind as we're planning activities and lessons. We won't be combining classes at recess. And when I talk about that, kids who are in the same classroom are considered, this year we kind of are calling them a family. So we won't be combining the families, they'll all stay together. So when it's recess time, that family will go out. Just a moment. When it's recess time, that family, that classroom will go out and they'll be able to go out to recess, and they'll still have to practice distancing from one another, but they won't be combined with a different classroom at that time. When you're talking about masks are required for staff and students, and the plan is to wear those all day and to practice in addition to that social distancing. So we'll have those if you would happen to forget it one day, your child. But if you can, please send your child in the mask, because they'll have to have it to get on the bus. They'll have to have a mask, and we'll have to have that throughout the day. They can take it off at lunchtime when they start eating, but then we'll put those back on. We're following the guidelines of masks in classrooms, but I know and you know it's very difficult. So we've asked the teachers, if you can, just whenever possible, take them outside, let them walk for a minute or so and just breathe so they can take that mask off for a little bit throughout the day. We're planning in the classrooms how to best separate students in their desks, so we're working on that. Classroom sizes will be smaller because some students are going to use online learning, so I don't know how much smaller. I don't know at this time how many kids will be in each classroom, because I don't have all of the data from the questionnaire that's being sent home to you. What it will look like in the hallway is, our hallways are wide enough. It's more than 6 feet wide, so it's wide enough to where if one class, say, is going to lunch, then another class might be coming in from recess, but they'll know to stay distant, like one class on one side and one class on the other. Used to be, they would all come to the bathroom, and we have that one common bathroom for students to use in our building. We would stand in line before and just take turns, but now that will be scheduled so that we won't cause traffic jam in the hallway and be piled up on one another. So that'll be scheduled. For breakfast and for lunch, we have a plan for that. We've added one more lunchtime, so we have 3 lunches now, and that'll make it possible for us to spread kids out more. So they don't have to eat lunch here at Chamberlain in the classroom, because thankfully that works for us. So we're going to spread them out, and we have a plan for dismissal. We have a plan for when they're walking into the cafeteria, how to keep them distanced. So our lunch, we'll just add another lunch, and that'll look the same. Our breakfast, we have a plan for that where it can still look similar to what we've had before. Students will come in, and if they want breakfast, they'll go to the cafeteria. We'll have helpers in the hallway that will make sure they stay distanced and make sure, of course, before they come in, they have their mask on. We'll have sanitizers at all the entry points to make sure they sanitize when they come in from the playground, when they come in the morning, when they travel from lunch back to the classroom, they'll sanitize. So we'll be doing that regularly. But we do have a plan, though, when they're in line and when they're going to breakfast and lunch, for how to distance them. Let's see. Arrival and dismissal, that will look different, very different in our building, because we don't want to dismiss everyone at the same time. And before, we had students sitting in the halls waiting for buses, all of the bus kids, but we can't do that anymore because they were very close last year, so we can't do that. But we have a plan for how to do that. On your end, what you'll see will look the same. You'll still come through the pickup line just like last year, but inside what you won't see is that we have a plan in the cafeteria to separate the people who are waiting for a ride, and we have a plan for how to get the bus students to the bus without combining with other classrooms in order to do that. Now, once they are on the bus driver, he has protocol for when they get on the bus in the morning. I think I mentioned this before. They have to sanitize. They have to be wearing a mask. They won't be checking temperatures. CDC guidelines said that you didn't have to do the temperature checks in the mornings when kids arrive and when they get on the bus, as far as I know, unless that changes between now and when we begin school. But they will sanitize, they will wear a mask, and then there will be assigned seats. So, and they can seat 2 children per chair, and the goal is to get that to where students of the same bus stop can sit together. Since they're getting on the bus together, they can sit, but they're still trying to practice distancing. And but the school bus driver, he has all of his protocol, his or her protocol, and they'll follow that and they'll organize that. And we'll get them out there in order, so we'll take care of that. This is a sad piece. There won't be any volunteers able to come into the building this year, and we love that piece of our daily life here at Chamberlain. But sadly, they won't be able to come in this year, and parents who come to pick up children will meet you at the front door. You won't be able to come in this year just because of the cleaning aspect of everything, and we don't want to expose anything that you might have to our students. So if you come to pick up a child, we'll meet you at the front door and we'll help you with that. Or if you have any other concerns, you can call the office, or we'll meet you at the front door to pick up or sign out a child. Even if your child's tardy, we'll meet you at the front door to get that student. Last year, I say last year when it was just March, but anyway, last school year, when we went online, several teachers used Class Dojo, several used Schoology, so it was a mixture. This year, everyone in Kanawha County will be using Schoology as their learning management system, and we'll help you with that. The parents of younger children, you probably have no idea how to even get logged on. Some of you do, some of you don't, depend on what your teacher used last year. But this year we'll have tips for you how to easily do that, and we'll get started with that right away when school begins, so that you'll understand where the work is found if we should have to go remote learning. So you'll understand and you'll be able to find their work. We've already gone over this. If we should have a child during the day that has symptoms of COVID, then we would separate them, of course. We have an isolation room, and those children will be separated, and we'll call the parents to come and get them as quickly as possible. They'll still have a mask, and they'll still be distanced. Say there are 2 sick children in one room that are being isolated, and we won't know what that is. So we'll keep them separate, and we'll keep masks on them in case, say, one has it and one doesn't. We wouldn't want to infect the other child. So we will have them supervised in that area. All of our extra people, I call them extra people, but it's like when we have music or art or PE, those teachers are pushing into the classroom. We have resource teachers, we have counseling. Those people are going to be pushing into the classroom so that the children won't have to travel back and forth and possibly contaminate an area or go into a contaminated area and touch something that wasn't clean. So they're going to stay in one spot in their classroom, and those people will push in to those kids. The exception to that, like when you say something, you're always like, oh, except for speech. Our speech teacher has a place she will be taking her students. She won't be mixing classes, like she'll only pull from one class at a time, but she'll have a spot where she can take them, and she has the big shield, the big guard, and she'll have a shield to wear as well. So we've made sure that will be safe for your child. Cleaning will be taking place all day long. Teachers will help when their class is empty at the end of the day. They'll just briefly go around and do the high touch areas. Custodians will be helping throughout the day in bathroom areas and cafeterias, things like that. If you should, and this goes back to the e-learning and the virtual, if you should choose that, those classes will be in that manner for the first semester. So if you choose onlining or if you choose virtual, that will be for the first semester, and then you can make your changes after that point. Let's see, we've already talked about buses. Several parents have asked, what can we send? And we always get asked, what would you like donated? Of course, teachers always have usually the same things, sanitizer if you get it anywhere, wipes, things like that. But some different things that we've never requested before, and you don't have to bring this. We are going to provide this for your child. But if you'd like to help, because several people are asking what they can do to help, water bottles will be asked if you want to send it. If not, we'll make a way for your child to get a drink. But the water fountains will be covered, so that we can't go travel to the water fountain to get a drink, but we want to make sure the child's not sitting there thirsty. So if you want to send a water bottle with your child, and they'll be bringing it home each day and then getting that cleaned and bringing it back the next day. So you're able to do that, and that's something we always did in the past. But if you'd like to donate the smaller bottles of water, then we'll store that and use that throughout the year for students who maybe forgot their water bottle or don't have one to bring. So we're going to be asking, well, we're not asking for that, but if you want to donate, some people have asked what they can send. And another different thing you may not be thinking of, or maybe you've seen it online, are things that help hold your masks. The concern for that is, say you're at lunch and you take it off and you drop it on the floor or whatever, or you switch it around, someone grabs your mask, I don't know. But if you have some sort of clip, they sell them, several places now are selling, but I saw some on Amazon. It's like a class pack even, if you want a few of them. But there are some people are using bib clips and just clipping it to the mask. Some people are using the shorter lanyards that have the breakaway clips. But just keep that in mind if you want to provide that for your child as well, or if you'd want to donate that to a teacher, it's totally up to you. If you don't, I'm going to try to ask people for donations for those, and if we don't get enough for each child, I'm going to try to purchase those, but you're not required to send that in. We will be sanitizing, like I said before, upon entering the building. We have lockers in our classrooms, and students will be able to share a locker with a friend, but they have separate areas inside the locker that things will be separated. In the classrooms, they'll look a little different because we were going to alternative seating. In the past, we had gone that route in some classrooms, but this year, like if there were bean bags or soft chairs for reading areas, or the rugs even, the big large rug area where teachers meet with students, those things will have to be removed from the classroom. Two reasons. One is when you take those out, it makes a lot more room to spread out the desks. And another reason is it is very difficult to clean those items, and we want to make sure we clean the classrooms very good each day and throughout the day. So those things won't be in the classrooms this year. There is something, and if you heard the governor speak, he talked about it. There's a map for WVDE. There's a map on WVDE website. I don't think it's open yet, but it will be open for us to use as a great resource, and it'll show if we start getting higher numbers of cases in our county. And the good thing with that is it'll tell us, hey, the percentage is increasing and you might have to go to remote learning. And when I say remote learning, that's different than e-learning and virtual learning. Remote learning would be, for some reason we have to close our school, then our students will start doing remote learning. If it reopens, they'll just pop back in. They won't be considered e-learning, they won't be considered virtual, they'll just be doing remote learning, and the teachers will be teaching online, but when the school opens, we just pop back in. Those other students are able to pop back in at the end of the semester. So that map will be useful because we'll know kind of what our future is holding. As far as some of the things that schools offer, a lot of our after-school activities that we love, like chess and things like that, we're not going to be able to have for a while. But Gifted is something that some of our students have, and that will continue. The teachers will be traveling to the schools, and they won't be mixing students, but they're going to make a schedule how to serve those students. Strings will still happen. We can't mix classes, but we're going to try to work out a schedule for the strings teacher to come in still if your child wants to participate in that. And just a rule of thumb in the classroom that we're using is if you touch it, it has to be cleaned before someone else touches it. If you have any more questions, I'm sure someone does, feel free to just send a message down on this same message here, just send it down below or whatever, and we can find the answer for you and send it back. I miss all of the kids. It's a different world for a person who is around kids all the time to think about what our future holds and how different it's going to be. So we all miss you terribly. No matter what you choose, e-learning, virtual or in person, just do what's best for your child and for your family and the situation that you live in, and we just hope the best for you, and we'll see you soon. Bye.